The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has officially begun its internal process for the 2026 induction class, initiating discussions among its nominating committee. This marks the start of a new cycle where artists become eligible or receive renewed consideration for one of music's most debated honors. The Hall's criteria require an artist or band to have released their first commercial recording at least 25 years prior to the year of induction. For 2026, this means artists whose debut recordings appeared in 2000 or earlier are now on the table. This annual process consistently generates significant industry speculation and fan engagement, particularly concerning acts that have built substantial careers but remain outside the Hall's roster. The committee's initial meetings will shape the ballot that eventually goes to voters, setting the stage for months of anticipation. This early phase is critical, as it determines which names will even have a chance at induction. The conversation this year centers on several high-profile names, some of whom have been eligible for years, while others are now entering the eligibility window, adding fresh contenders to the mix. The Hall's selection process, often criticized for its perceived biases and omissions, faces another year of scrutiny as it weighs the legacies of diverse musical acts. Several prominent artists are at the forefront of the 2026 eligibility discussions, each bringing a distinct musical legacy to the table. Billy Idol, a punk rock icon who successfully transitioned into a mainstream rock star, has been eligible since 2002. His consistent output and influence across genres make him a perennial topic. Phil Collins, already inducted with Genesis, now sees his solo career under consideration, a separate but equally impactful body of work that includes multiple chart-topping hits. Oasis, the Britpop titans, become eligible for the first time in 2020, but have yet to receive a nomination, making 2026 a potential breakthrough year for the Gallagher brothers' influential band. Iron Maiden, a foundational heavy metal act, has been eligible since 2005 and remains a significant omission for many hard rock fans. Luther Vandross, the R&B legend, has been eligible since 2000, and his smooth vocal style and songwriting prowess continue to resonate. Wu-Tang Clan, the groundbreaking hip-hop collective, became eligible in 2018, representing a genre that the Hall has increasingly recognized. Joy Division, the post-punk pioneers, have been eligible since 2003, their dark, influential sound shaping countless bands. These artists represent a broad spectrum of genres and eras, highlighting the diverse considerations facing the nominating committee. The inclusion of these artists on the 2026 ballot carries significant weight for their respective fan bases and the broader music industry. Billy Idol's induction would acknowledge his unique blend of punk energy and pop sensibility, a formula that yielded massive hits like Rebel Yell and White Wedding. His solo career, distinct from his work with Generation X, cemented his status as a global rock star. For Oasis, a nomination would recognize their explosive impact on 1990s British music, selling over 75 million records worldwide and defining an era with anthems like Wonderwall and Don't Look Back in Anger. Their absence from previous ballots has been a point of contention for many. Iron Maiden's potential induction would be a victory for heavy metal, a genre often underrepresented in the Hall. With over 100 million albums sold and a consistent touring presence for over 4 decades, their influence on metal is undeniable. Luther Vandross's smooth, sophisticated R&B sound earned him 8 Grammy Awards and over 35 million album sales, making his continued absence a notable oversight for many R&B enthusiasts. These artists' careers are not just about sales. They represent cultural shifts and genre-defining moments that shaped popular music. The ongoing debate surrounding the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame selection process provides crucial context for these discussions. Critics often point to a perceived bias towards certain genres, particularly classic rock, while other influential categories like metal, hip-hop, and R&B have historically faced longer waits or fewer inductees. The Hall's definition of rock and roll itself remains a point of contention, with some arguing for a broader interpretation that encompasses diverse musical forms, and others advocating for a stricter adherence to the genre's origins. The voting body, comprising over 1,000 artists, historians, and industry members, also draws scrutiny, with questions raised about its demographic makeup and musical preferences. Past snubs of artists like Link Wray, who invented the power chord, or the continued exclusion of bands like Jethro Tull, fuel these discussions annually. The public fan vote, introduced in recent years, offers a single ballot entry to the top 5 vote-getters, but its overall impact on the final selection remains limited. This complex ecosystem of eligibility, committee decisions, and voter preferences shapes who ultimately makes it into the hall. Looking ahead, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will release its official list of nominees for the 2026 class in early 2025, typically in February. Following the announcement of nominees, a global voting process will commence, involving both the international voting body and the public fan vote. The results of this vote are usually tallied and announced in April or May of 2025, revealing the final inductees. The induction ceremony itself is then scheduled for the fall of 2025, often held in either Cleveland or New York City, with a broadcast partner typically airing the event later in the year. This timeline means that the speculation and debate surrounding artists like Billy Idol, Oasis, and Iron Maiden will intensify over the coming months. The Hall of Fame Foundation, which oversees the induction process, will continue to manage the nominations and voting, culminating in the formal recognition of the chosen artists. The 2026 class will join over 360 previous inductees, further shaping the institution's narrative of rock and roll history.